If you or someone you know is dealing with Alzheimer's at home, and you know that aggression and combativeness is starting to occur, it is important to know how to diffuse the situation and how to diffuse it quickly. My name is Lori Janacek. I'm a registered nurse and a certified forensic nurse specializing in Alzheimer's and dementia. If you know of someone caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's at home, it is crucial that you understand that aggression and combativeness is something that can happen in most of our loved ones with Alzheimer's. However, even though it occurs in most men and women, by the way, it is a very dirty little secret. This is actually one of the main reasons why I wrote this workbook and entitled it Alzheimer's Disease, What No One Is Telling You, because it is the truth. I deal with this all the time and deal with ladies that have been hit, that have stitches all the way to broken clavicles and broken hips because their husbands got aggressive. They went towards them, they tried to diffuse the situation, they tried to grab their arms, and what do you think is going to happen? And when they go to the ER, they never tell the doctor what happened, they never tell a nurse, and rarely do they even tell a family member. So it's very important to address aggression and combativeness when someone is suffering with Alzheimer's. The first thing to know is you need to make sure all of their needs are met. I know this sounds silly. I know you think, gosh, Lori, we know that. But it really is important. Do they have a UTI? Is there a possibility of a UTI? Are they hungry? Are they thirsty? But the most important thing is, are they in pain? Because a lot of times if they're in pain, that's how they're going to take out their frustration. They're going to let somebody know they're in pain by trying to beat up somebody. You know, I know this is very hard. If you've been married for 30 or 40 years and, you know, your husband, you love him so much and he was the deacon of a Baptist church and all of a sudden he's cussing like a sailor getting off a ship in New York, it is very hard to deal with. It's hard to see them turning into something that they've never been before. Or if you're a man and, you know, you've got this sweet little wife and you're trying to give her breakfast and you've made her a homemade meal and you give it to her and she slaps it away and slaps you, man, that can become so frustrating. But when this starts to escalate, when the aggression escalates and the combativeness escalates, the most important thing to do is just try to defer it. Just try to redirect them. And this can be done in a couple of ways. One of the things is, like, if they have a daughter that they love, is to bring her name up and say, you know, hey honey, you know, Sharon's coming over, because sometimes that works. But let me tell you, in my experience, and I know you're gonna think this is crazy, but the most effective thing I've ever used is a good old Hershey's chocolate bar. I actually wish I had one. I should have brought one for the video because it works. There's something very nostalgic, I think, about the paper on there. And remember, they're going back in time. So this is something that they can relate to. I can't tell you how many times I've seen one of my patients get very, very aggressive and I'll tell the girls, go get me a Hershey's bar, and I actually keep them in my office. I really do. Because you get it and you start taking that paper down, and you know how it's in blocks and squares? You start taking that square off and you eat it and they take it. Let me tell you, it works. It is hard to be beating somebody up or slapping somebody when they're reaching for a chocolate bar. And let's just be honest, it works on women too. You know, all of us, if we have chocolate in front of us, we're much nicer. So it really is an effective tool. The other thing I do, and I know this is going to sound silly, but it works. If they are, let's say for example, you're trying to get them ready because they haven't changed their clothes in 2 days, they've been fighting you, so you just haven't worried about it, and of course that's when the preacher says he's going to come over and visit, and you've got to get their clothes changed. And as you're doing it, they're becoming aggressive and fighting with you a little bit. What I do, and I'm telling you this works, is I come up with a childhood song that they have to think of the rest of the words. So for example, maybe the wheels on the bus go, and you're going to pause and make them think round and round, but that works. Now this is very important. You see things on the internet where they'll say, you know, maybe have soft, soothing music going in the background. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about smiling, getting in front of them and acting like a fool like I just did. I'm singing on video and singing a song and make them search for those words. One of my favorite stories is we had a guy who was very aggressive, very large, and every time we got him in the shower, he would start beating up all of us, including his family, including everybody around him. He hated it. So we would get in there and we would start singing something like, Old MacDonald had a farm. And he'd be hitting and doing this, and he'd stop and go, E-I-E-I-O, and I swear to goodness, it worked. So we would all be in there singing Old MacDonald, But every time it was time for his line for E-I-E-I-O, he would do it. And kind of a side story, when he passed away, God bless his soul, at his funeral, the family actually played Old MacDonald at the funeral because they felt like that song was so special in his life because it changed his life. It changed everything that he was doing because when we sang that song, we could get him to not be aggressive and hit everybody. And they felt like it was such an important part of his disease process and his life at the end, they actually played Old MacDonald at the funeral. So please don't let this be a dirty little secret. This is why I wrote a workbook. This is why I'm talking. We need to talk and you need to find out tips and tools that will help you diffuse these situations. If you or someone you know or is caring for a loved one at home with Alzheimer's, please go to alzworkbook.com.